With the NFL draft over, most big name free agents are already signed at this point. It's time to talk about the biggest ADP risers in fantasy football for the month of April. I'm going to give you 5 names who are absolutely skyrocketing in ADP right now that you must be drafting this summer in fantasy football. I won't hold you any longer. You already know what the deal is. Roll the intro. The first player on our list is Jordan James, running back of the San Francisco 49ers, who, although was not taken in this 2026 NFL draft, was drafted last year in 2025 and was the third string running back behind Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson. And now with Brian Robinson gone, it's not a clear-cut sure thing, but it's more than likely that Jordan James will presume the second in command behind Christian McCaffrey. And while I can't promise or guarantee that Christian McCaffrey will miss time this year, I also can't promise that Christian McCaffrey will not miss time this year. He's turning 30 by the time training camp starts. He has almost 2,300 career touches, and I could very well see a situation where Jordan James finds his way as the starting running back if something were to happen to Christian McCaffrey. Jordan James will be fighting with that role with their newest addition in the 4th round, Kalen Black. But rest assured you, they trust Jordan James enough to go ahead and be their backup running back. They were willing to let Brian Robinson walk for basically nothing in free agency, which tells me that they trust whatever they have going on in Jordan James. And if you're going to draft Christian McCaffrey in fantasy, maybe you're looking to just use a late round draft pick on someone who has high potential in a best ball format. Look no further than the running back Jordan James, who may not see the field because of Christian McCaffrey staying healthy all year, but I wouldn't bet on Christian McCaffrey staying healthy the entire year either. Jordan James, like I said, has great potential in the best ball format or even deeper league formats, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this ADP that's skyrocketing is warranted of the hype, and you must be drafting Jordan James if you have the opportunity to in a deeper league or a best ball format this summer. Now let's move on to our next player, Chris Rodriguez, running back of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know Chris Rodriguez hasn't had a flashy or incredible career so far, but that doesn't mean that the Jacksonville Jaguars won't find this straight line back and short yardage back very useful within their offense. They got rid of Travis Etienne. He is now a New Orleans Saint. They let him walk in free agency. Yes, they still have Bashal Tutin. And while Chris Rodriguez may not be the guy that's going to get every carry for them in this offense, he provides great upside for this Jacksonville Jaguars offense in the red zone. If we expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to be a double-digit win team, to be a team that goes down into the red zone a lot, a team that's scoring a lot of points, it's probably going to be, in fact, of somebody like Chris Rodriguez that they rely on in short yardage situations. The Jacksonville Jaguars last year were second in trips down to the red zone amongst all offenses in the NFL, and they were 8th in red zone touchdown percentage last year. And while that does sound very impressive, what's even more impressive is the fact that Washington Commanders last year, with Chris Rodriguez as their goal line back, were actually 4th in red zone touchdown percentage last year. So we may even see a bump and an improvement in what the Jacksonville Jaguars offense looks like in the red zone. And we know that it's because of Chris Rodriguez. It's not just any other guy that was scoring these touchdowns for the Commanders last year. Chris Rodriguez had 6 rushing touchdowns for them, and no touchdown was greater than 8 yards for a touchdown. So we know that goal-to-goal situations, Chris Rodriguez had 6 of those touchdowns, less than 10 yards away from the end zone. We're going to add a running back to an offense that's probably, like I said, going to score a lot of points, going to make a lot of trips down into the red zone. So why would we not draft Chris Rodriguez as a potential starting running back in fantasy this year? We're looking at a potential where we know this offense allows for its players within the offense to score a lot of fantasy points, and we know that Chris Rodriguez is the perfect fit for this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. So why wouldn't we go ahead and use a pick on Chris Rodriguez? It may not cost you a whole lot to get him, but he may end up being a very important piece to our fantasy football teams. Now let's move on to the third player that has their ADP skyrocketing over the month of April. That would be Ted Hurst, wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I know it's a crowded wide receiver room. I get it. And I understand that there are people making a comp to somebody like Ted Hurst filling the Mike Evans role. And while other than him being 6'4", I don't see that much of a resemblance between Mike Evans and Ted Hurst. Just really big, dominant X-wide receivers. I do believe that there is a chance that Ted Hurst could find his way to be a viable part of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense this year. In order for Ted Hurst to be a viable fantasy option for us in 2026, one of these players needs to either rapidly regress or see an injury between Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, or Emeka Egbuka. And to be honest, I think it's very much on the table that one of those outcomes do happen, if not multiple. We're talking about a player in Chris Godwin who's getting up there in age and has an injury history. We're talking about a guy in Jalen McMillan who I personally am a fan of, but has seen in his short career so far plenty of injuries that keep him off of the field. And we have Emeka Egbuka, who we don't really know for sure. Is he the Emeka Egbuka that we saw in the first half of last year? Or is he the Emeka Egbuka that we saw in the second half of last year? Or maybe he's somewhere in between that. All of these factors, and considering each player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver depth chart, leads me to believe that there is a way that by week 8, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ted Hurst was a viable part of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. We know for certain that Ted Hurst in his 6'4" frame definitely fits the mold and the idea of having him outside as an X receiver. This is something that he could step in right away and do so. It's still, like I said, going to take maybe an injury to Jalen McMillan or Chris Godwin, or potentially see a regression from one of these players. But nevertheless, there is a chance that Ted Hurst finds his way into this pass-happy Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And that is why Ted Hurst's ADP is skyrocketing right now, and he's worth a draft in best ball or deeper league formats. The next player I want to talk about, wide receiver of the New York Jets, newly acquired Omar Cooper Jr., who, I get it, is a part of the New York Jets offense. We don't normally trust New York Jets pass catchers or even running backs for that matter. Breece Hall is a great exception to that lately. But the fact that I'm making you put your trust in a New York Jets wide receiver that's not Garrett Wilson, and a wide receiver that has his quarterback being Geno Smith, is probably going to be a tough argument for me to win. But I'm going to sit here right now and give you my reasons as to why you should be drafting Omar Cooper Jr., or at least convince you in some way that you didn't think was possible before this video. And if I do find a way to convince you in this video, make sure you smash that like button and you hit the subscribe button down below. Clicking that one little button at the bottom of your screen or on your phone, wherever it may be, costs you absolutely nothing. It would mean the absolute world to me and help my channel grow immensely to more and more fantasy football enthusiasts like yourself. But Omar Cooper Jr. is actually a great addition to this New York Jets offense. This is a player that excels in short routes. It was very successful in college at running screens, was very successful when the ball was thrown to him within the flat, and was very good over the middle on slant routes. And what does Geno Smith possess? Maybe not the best deep accuracy or throwing ability, but is very accurate in short field situations. Anything that's within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, Geno Smith can be a very accurate quarterback. So to have somebody like Omar Cooper Jr., who excels at short passing options, helps open this offense up immensely for guys like Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, and will also maybe help Geno Smith get back on track to what we've seen a couple years ago versus last year with the Vegas Raiders. With Omar Cooper Jr.'s ability to create space and allow Garrett Wilson to have more positive matchups and stronger matchups down the field, there's a very good chance that Omar Cooper Jr. can be viable and successful for the New York Jets as early as 2026. You're pairing up a wide receiver who is very versatile and excels at short routes with a quarterback that's very accurate throwing these short route patterns. So put these two together, they could potentially be a great pairing for one another in fantasy, and that's why Omar Cooper Jr.'s ADP is skyrocketing and you need to be drafting him. Finally, let's talk about our last player. This is a very obvious name as to why they're skyrocketing. We'll talk about it now, but Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs is seeing his ADP skyrocket, and it's all for the right reasons. Let's talk about the fact that we're going into this year without any off-the-field issues for Rashee Rice. We're in a situation now where we don't have to be worrying about his legal status. We don't have to be worrying about suspensions for Rashee Rice as of right now, of course. And that's going to make his ADP, if it already hasn't, continue to increase even more throughout the next few months. Let's also add to the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs not only lost Hollywood Brown in free agency, but also did a very poor job of adding other pass catchers or weapons to this Kansas City Chiefs offense. They went ahead and added someone with a 5th-round draft pick. They also signed an undrafted free agent in Caldwell. These are not guys that are probably going to see a lot of opportunity in 2026, and it allows Rashee Rice to take even more of the target share than he already was projected to have. We already know that Rashee Rice is a phenomenal wide receiver, but all of these factors indicate that there is no doubt about it at this point. He's going to be one of the 10 best wide receivers you could draft in fantasy, which, if you're going to be one of the 10 best wide receivers in fantasy, that's going to make your ADP and your value skyrocket. And that's exactly what's happened in this month of April so far. And who's to say that it can't even increase even more at this point? Now that the value of Rashee Rice is more tangible, knowing that he's not going to face any time with suspension. He's going to go into training camp and be ready to go for week 1. It's even more obvious about how much we need to be drafting Rashee Rice in free agency. And again, you didn't need me to make this video for you to tell you that you should be drafting Rashee Rice, but it's definitely noteworthy to notice that his ADP is skyrocketing and that it's pretty obvious at this point he's one of the 10 best receivers. He's bound to be a wide receiver 1 this year. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I gave my 5 players that are skyrocketing in ADP, at least in the month of April. We'll probably continue to do more of these videos as the offseason goes on. We'll make sure that we get months of May, June, and July as well and talk about why these players are skyrocketing and why you need to be drafting them in fantasy. These aren't the guys with the 5 highest ADP changes. These are the 5 guys who are skyrocketing ADP that you must be drafting. Kirk Cousins is someone that's had their ADP skyrocket. But am I going to sit here on a YouTube video and tell you guys that you need to be drafting Kirk Cousins? That's a waste of both of our time. For to have you sit in front and listen to somebody say you need to be drafting Kirk Cousins because his ADP is skyrocketing, and the fact that most of you play in a 12-man league, maybe for those in 14-man, 2-quarterback leagues, something like a Kirk Cousins would be viable for you. But for most of you out there, knowing that Kirk Cousins' ADP is skyrocketing is not going to help you. So I'm here to only give you information that is going to help you draft the best fantasy football team this year so you can hoist up that championship in your league and talk smack to all of your league mates. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you're new here, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button down below. Like I said, it's free. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it would make my day so much better. Like I said, it's free. It costs you nothing. It would absolutely make my day to see you subscribe to the channel, and it helps my videos get out to more and more fantasy football fans just like you. But that's all the time I have for you guys today. Outlier Militia, you already know what to do. Smash the like button. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Turtle. This is Outlier Fantasy, and I will see you in the next video. Wow, you stuck to the end of this video? Thank you so much. If you're new here, make sure you check out one of these videos on the screen right now. And don't forget, before you leave, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any fantasy football videos on this channel. And that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.